welcome to the Shift Flow. I am Dani.
And I'm Mo.
This is where practical advice meets spiritual guidance.
We're two individuals with the joint mission of bringing light, love, and healing to the collective consciousness.
This container we've created is an incredibly safe space for us all to have conversations which lead us toward liberation, acceptance, and radical love of self.
So if you found this podcast, if by no accident, you've been guided here because there's a part of you who's ready to stop making excuses and start living the life you've always imagined.
Yes. So join us here every Thursday. We are so excited to have you. We welcome you here with open arms and to your new community.
All right. So part two of an episode that we didn't expect to be a two-parter. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling really good about it. I think in the moment it was pretty heavy. It was pretty intense. Yeah. And with the intention and the consistent message coming in for the last couple of years of you need to share. You need to share this. You need to share this and this and this and this and this, and still not really going there to that depth until Wednesday.
Yeah.
Or Tuesday. It definitely opened up some wounds for me.
Yeah.
You guys, and for the listeners to know that you and I and many other healers on this path as well, we do the work. And we know the work is heavy and painful. And I feel like on and off for the last 6 to 8 months has really been about, okay, yes, you've healed and compartmentalized, but now it's time to heal, release, and share.
Yeah.
And so in that, like I said, prior, literally the night before recording, I remember I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, the path to the spiritual journey. What were these incredibly pivotal moments for you? And that instance of trying to unalive myself kept coming to my mind. And I was like, I wonder if we're going to go there. And then you literally started the topic, which led into that naturally. So it's almost like a confirmation of, I kind of knew where it was going to go.
Yeah.
But you gracefully led us into it.
Yeah.
And I think it transpired really beautifully. And also, y'all have to know, we are bearing our souls here. Yeah. And that's not easy work. But it is our mission to do so. So I would say I'm much better than Wednesday, because that was Tuesday. Thursday was a good day for me, and Friday I'm still processing. Yeah. So we're working through it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything you shared, and I'm having a different experience with it. And what's funny is I had a lot of resistance leading into our conversation. I wasn't I knew what was coming, but I was nervous about it, and I really didn't talk. I didn't think about it. I was like, I'm not even going to think about it. I can't think about this right now. And so every day it was like that Scarlett where she's like, I'll deal with that tomorrow. And so it just kept, and then the episode was here, and I was like, I don't know where this is going to go. Honestly, I really don't. I didn't know where it was going to go. And I hadn't any idea what I would say. I really didn't. And I just felt like I'm going to trust where this goes. I'm going to trust this conversation. And of course I feel so safe with you. Oh my gosh. I feel like I just want to tell you everything, which is just so great for this podcast. There's really nothing I want to hide anymore.
Right.
Especially with you. So it just makes it naturally very easy for me while we're in this type of a setting. And because this is also really similar to our coaching conversations, to be real honest. And so this is, it's comfortable for me. So it's funny. Because I didn't know where it would go. I didn't anticipate sharing what I shared. The deepest part of my darkest moments that I've experienced so far. And so it's interesting. The last couple of days, I've felt really just like a rocket, just charged, and I'm like saying all. I feel like I've just sort of opened the door on all these things, like you said, that I have felt called to be really brutally honest. And brutally is probably not a great word for it, but like really raw and honest about who I am. I've been feeling for a very long time that I wouldn't be loved and accepted if people knew who I really am, what I've been through. And I have continued to learn that's absolutely not the case. And the more I open up, the more I'm received lovingly. And it continues to be that message. And it's really felt great for me because I've felt really shamed about it by myself, and also just the anticipation of shame of others, So I told a lot of stories to myself before our conversation about being rejected or just not received for the truth of who I am. And I'm really feeling more ready now than ever before to love myself, to open up, because I also know that it's people like you, it's people like we talked about in this episode that I know you guys have heard the names, people like Anna, people like Mackenzie, people like Natalie Tischler, and many others who have really loved me and received me, and I'm drawn to people who do the same. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, of course, and I feel it's our, like you said, it's our duty at this point. And also knowing that, like what you're experiencing, there will be some further processing of what it means to have your story out there, and also to, on some levels, not necessarily relive it,
right,
but remember it, and remember it enough to be able to share it. And that isn't always easy. In fact, it's usually comes with some potential unresolved pieces, or maybe even pieces that are resolved that just haven't been honored and loved. And so
exactly,
it's scary. It is scary. I'm here with you.
That's where I'm at right now. Yeah. Is realizing like I have carried a lot of this myself, and I also want to just say, like, you guys, like, it's a little bit heavy, but like also it doesn't always have to be heavy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think we ebb and we flow, and it's okay to be in this moment with us and feel what you're feeling, because as you were talking, I'm even getting a little bit triggered of like, there's still some parts, there's still some pieces there that are unresolved, or not unresolved, but like you said, not fully owned. Yeah. Right. And a part of it is heavy, and also a part of it is light. And that's the duality, the yin and the yang in this mission of, we go into the darkness. We lean into those aspects of ourself that we have outcasted, that we have shamed, because we need to love it. Yeah. And I'm sitting here, and my younger self is being triggered as you say, I feel like I wouldn't be accepted in sharing these parts of me. And my question for you and for myself is, what do you think is not acceptable? Yeah. Right? It's like, if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, I love myself, these are my burdens. Mm-hmm. And I've carried them by myself my whole life. Yeah. And I'm ready to accept the extent of the support and the love that I give to others from others as well. There's a really interesting, and I've seen a lot of videos on this, is that there's a really interesting pattern for healers and coaches where we give. And I think previously it was from a point of being a people pleaser and like, I want you to like
For
me.
sure. Yeah.
But
yeah.
now it's almost this hyper independence of like, I've done it on my own. I'll continue to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to support you while I'm doing this on my own for me.
Yeah.
And I think where I'm at, is that is completely changing.
Yeah.
There are people in my life now that want to help me, that see the impact that I've made and how I've helped others, and they want to support me, and I'm fucking struggling with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you want to help me?
It's overwhelming.
The 20-year-old in me is like,
mm-hmm.
somebody wants to help me?
Yeah.
And so this is taking me on this journey of, it is going backwards in time, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I think a couple of times where like I've taken ownership and I've told specific people, it's not like I haven't told anybody about this part of me. And I take ownership and I accept it and I love it. And also, I haven't fully integrated it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And going back to my question for you, it's like, and this is something for our listeners to ask themselves, what part of you feels like you are not acceptable? You are not lovable.
Yeah.
Why do we have this culture? And in this spiritual community too, if it is not love and light, it is not welcome.
Yeah.
Why do we have that? When we have all gone through traumas
Yeah.
and darkness. That's the reality of the human path.
Yeah.
But we deflect and deny. So what part of you feels like, if you continue to share or before you shared, that you wouldn't be accepted and loved?
Okay, so I have a theory, and I don't know that I've thought about this. This is coming to me. For a very long time, I had behaviors that were me trying to figure out how to express my sensitivities, connect with people. It was very messy, and that those sides of me, I had evidence of not being held and supported and wanted to change. Like I was actually having a conversation with Dave today about when I was younger, adults really didn't like me, because I also didn't understand why everybody got to control me. You know what I mean? I'm like, who the hell are you to tell me what to do? And because I really felt from a very young age, I should have sovereignty over my own body, over my own choices. Even as a little kid, I'm like, wait, why is it just because you're older than me?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I really do.
So when everyone's telling you that you're wrong, when everyone's telling you you're too loud, I have evidence of people not accepting me, And so I developed these strategies to fit in. I developed these masks to wear to be loved and accepted and be a good little girl and make other people proud of me. And so in order to survive, and so part of that becomes this obsession with perfectionism and not showing the ugly or the perceived ugly. And so I've done a very good job of hiding myself for a very long time. And these are parts that I have felt my whole life. I have evidence of people not loving. Of course, these are not people who are doing the healing work. These are not people that I choose to be around today. I love them from a distance.
You're making me tear up, girl.
Yeah, so I feel we have seen this. We also now have evidence. Here's the fact. Duality. There's evidence in the world that it does exist, that there are people who reject this, and they're who we are and what our message is, and there are people who accept it. And that's just the fact of life. And what's great about it all is, like you said, there are people now who want to love you, and I'm one of them. I want to be here for you always, Dani. And I want every dream you've ever imagined. I want you to have it. And I want to be here to support it, every step of the way. And I know that I know that that's the same for me. And so I feel like what's important for us in this moment to realize is that we don't have to wear those masks. We don't have to strap on the armor and defend or convince. We can just be exactly who we are. Yeah. And so I think that is the scary part, is that, you know what? Some people hearing what we shared the other day, because I've thought about this, might say, ooh, well, they're crazy. They're certifiable. Those two,
I thought about this too. Please continue, but I was literally just thinking about this a moment ago.
And that scares me too.
Did you say they're certifiable?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a thing that people have said.
About you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had people be very mean to me. But I guess the thing is, what is so amazing though is if I don't share this message, if you don't share this message, who out there really needs it? I am done. I am done not speaking for all the people who want to shut me down. Just try. I'm not trying to fight you, girl. I'm not trying to fight you, my loves, whoever you are. But I am no longer going to stifle my voice. I am no longer going to hide. And even if there are moments where I do, I know now that's not right for me, and that's not right for our mission. So that's my little theory here, and it feels really right. I feel like that just came. It was supposed to come out.
Oh, baby, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. I literally in that moment went from like, oh, I'm terrified to like, fuck yeah, let's go.
You're a goddess, Dani. You are going to conquer the world, my girl. Like, you know what I mean?
You're coming with me, baby.
You just keep sharing. You are a beautiful soul. Seriously, like you have what you've done for so many people just because you exist, just because you share. You are changing the world. You've made ripples through my life and into the lives of others who know me through other people, and I've seen it. You are doing the work in so many ways, and the world is better because of you. So,
oh my God. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I needed to hear that. And a good way, if y'all can't, or if you struggle to receive compliments, which I have in the past for a really long time, is hand on the heart. I receive that.
Yeah.
I receive that as truth. And you are making the exact same impact. Our souls know each other. You know what I mean? Like, there was that recognition at first. We were like,
wait,
sister.
Yeah.
So we are aligned and on the same path together, and we have so many parallels, so many similarities.
I know.
Now,
so
certifiable is a new one. But I have been called fucking crazy, insane. And you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to be normal. Whatever the fuck normal is, I do not want to be asleep. I think I said this on one of the podcasts. Asleep in the rat race, living in a box, going to the box to the other box to live in boxes and meet people in boxes. For
and
the
get
rest
our
of my
little
life.
treats when we scratch at the door.
Yeah, exactly. To live for minimum wage and for the 2 days out of the weekend. And, I would rather be crazy and break the fucking norms.
Yeah.
And one of those norms that we are breaking is the power and the strength and vulnerability. And if you look at me and Mo for sharing our stories, which I know you have one similar, whether it's to that extent or not, every person that I have talked to has had a moment in their life of depression or negative thoughts or anxiety or fear or thinking, you know what, maybe it would be better if I wasn't here because this shit's fucking hard. And if you are, I had a very similar fear come up of like, what if my clients think that I'm not able or like mentally stable or not strong enough to guide them. The truth of the matter is we got through that and we're stronger and more fucking resilient because of it.
Yeah.
So if you have that thought process, understand that I went through all of these trials. I like to even look at it as like an initiation for many years.
Yeah.
A spiritual initiation. Can you make it through? Can you keep going? Will you get back up?
Yeah.
Will you continue? Will you choose to give love to yourself and others regardless of how often you have been literally and metaphorically beaten to the bone, bruised to the bone, you know? And I am stronger and more capable and more empathetic and more powerful in all of this because of what I went through 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago. So that's what we need to remind ourselves is like, also, think what you want.
Yeah.
The people that are meant to work with us, be with us, and support us are people that are going to take those stories and the stories that are to come, because there are many more.
Yeah.
And love us because of them and trust us more and feel more safe to share their broken pieces. And shared with me this art form of Japanese, it's like a Japanese art form, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's where they break pottery pieces and then they put them back together with gold, you know, with sunshine. And that's what we've done, is we've taken our broken pieces and we've rebuilt ourselves with different stories.
Yeah.
So that we can shine brighter.
Absolutely. And you know, I think what's
intense, y'all. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and
but it's so true. It's truth. It's my truth.
It's true, and honestly, we're human. I mean,
Yes.
I we have to let go, especially people. I mean, that's just the thing. I feel like the more you succeed in life, the scarier it is to show you're human, and it can't be that way.
Yeah.
We have to break that mold. Like you said, we have to break that mold. The more, you know, I'm worried about what the people in my community will think, or I'm worried, you know, because I have this high position. There have been times Dave and I have had conversations, and it's like, you know, I don't want this to affect my job, or I don't want this. And the fact is, we are human beings living a human experience, or spiritual beings having a human experience, and it gets messy.
Yeah.
I'm not immune to pain. I'm not immune to tragedy and heartache and all of these things that frankly we try to run from.
Right.
So I think what's important though isn't that you know, we ultimately, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's important to own this. It's important to be open and to talk about it so that people, no matter what level in life they are, whatever their status is, you feel very safe to be. And even if you don't publicly talk about it, if you just know that it's okay to talk to someone about it, a coach, a therapist, a friend who's very trusted, who loves and receives you without judgment, you know, that's really huge. And here's something else I'd like to say. You know, if you believe in the law of duality, or the, you know, the two ends of a stick,
the balance of dark and light,
the darkest dark you can also now experience the lightest light.
Yes.
And it is, and so every time I've been in a really dark place, I've thought about that. Because I am in this really dark place and it feels like I'll never see the light again. I know that I will, because I know that there's balance in the universe. And so that's the light at the end of the tunnel. Even if I can't see it, just keep walking, you know, and know that nobody, think of, you know, Oprah Winfrey. I mean, look at her. She talks about it all. And she's no less credible because she's had some hard times, and, you know, and there's, but it's all about processing it. It's all about owning it, and it's all about being open, vulnerable, truthful to yourself. You don't owe anybody else it. You don't have to get on a podcast like we do.
Yeah.
You can own it to yourself. quietly. You can own it to your journal. You can say it out loud. You can look in the mirror. You can, you just have so many options, and it makes you not less. In fact, it makes you just as beautiful as that vase that's covered in little broken golden cracks. You shine, baby.
Yeah. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like that brings up just a point that we'll talk about as we continue. By the way, this episode is going to continue, the spiritual journey episode. We will continue speaking on that because it's a lifelong path, right?
Yeah.
But there's something that you said around like ownership and being human.
Yeah.
And that as humans, we experience hardship and pain. Now, as far as the spiritual journey goes, a lot of people spiritually bypass.
Oh, yeah. Good note.
What does that mean? That means like something happens and immediately you're like, love and light, gratitude, grateful for that, push it to the side. Or you go to 200 plant medicine journeys and you're trying to run. Oh, yeah. I know a lot. I know a lot of people that are taking these tools, these medicines, these ancient traditions rooted in indigenous people's ceremonies and history and culture, monetizing off of them, which is a whole other conversation, but overusing them to run, to bypass, to live fully in other realms. And that's something to really remember as you get deeper into your spiritual journey, or you're going through your awakening, and there's all these tools and crystals and plant medicine and tarot cards and meditation. And don't get me wrong, I love floating around in the ethers, and that's what I do in energy work. Like, I'm able to body jump and go heal you, even if you're on the other side of the planet, energetically. However, to add on to that, we have to remember we are incarnated as human beings for a reason.
Yeah.
You have these vessels. You have to deal with your emotions. And the way that you do is by leaning into them instead of running away from them and being like, gratitude, love and light, mushrooms, cacao, sound. Like some people literally have the capacity and the money to constantly be in ceremony all day, every day. You know what I mean? But you are completely disconnected from your vessel. Yeah. Your vessel needs you too. So.
Yeah. And that's what we're here to do. I mean, seriously, it's like this is part of it. And, I'm not a sports person, and I'm not going to attempt a reference.
You've done it before, girl.
I know. Like,
do it again.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know how, like, your runners will sometimes experience a runner's high where
I just had one earlier.
You don't think you can keep doing it. You don't think you can keep doing it. And then you keep going. And then there's just like this, I did it. Oh, and then you're like, oh, I'm running. That's so much a part of it. And what's beautiful is the more you do this work, the more you have at one healing at a time, or you take a little time and you start small, or you start out journaling, or the more you process, the better you get at processing, the more you want to process. So it really is just like break the seal and start processing some of these things, because you get stronger and better, just like going to the gym. You grow all the time. And what's really cool is the next thing you know, something that would have set you off, and a previous version of you would have not known what to do with it. It would have shut you down or made you angry for 3 weeks and held on to your mind and bitterness and toxicity. That same thing that would have caused those same reactions will now be something that you laugh at and think, wow, this is a thing that's weird, and I definitely would have not responded this way. And the thing is, though, now I know what this means. I know how I feel about it. I know what feels authentic to who I am, how to engage with whatever it is that's going on, where boundaries are needed, where love and acceptance is needed. You just get better and better and better at it with practice. And so it's just like, that's what's so beautiful about it all. It's like, yeah, it's painful. I'm not saying it's not sometimes.
Right.
But you just, but that pain also, the more you feel certain things, those same things aren't going to be the same experience for you anymore like they used to be. So get going. You got this.
Get going,
you know?
girls and gals.
Yeah.
Your pain is a guide.
It is.
Your pain is a messenger.
Yeah.
It's trying to speak to you. That can be physiologically, your body, emotionally, mentally. Your pain is a guide. It's like, it has a little flashlight, and it's like, hey, look at this. Right there. Look. You're gonna look. You're gonna look at it because you can.
Yeah.
And when you do, you acknowledge it. And then when you do, you release it, and then you keep moving forward, right?
Yeah.
It's the suffering that is created in the denial of the existence of the pain. And it's the journey.
Yeah.
You know? And you can also take a break. You're also allowed to take breaks. Because it can get to this point of like hyper psychoanalysis
of
sure. Self. Mm-hmm. Hyper psychoanalysis of others. You know, and that's a gift in many ways, but also you are allowed to rest and integrate. So pausing and surrendering during processing is essential as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really important to note that, you know, if you go from an addiction of alcohol into being sober and then an addiction of exercise and wellness, right? That's very possible as well. So coming back to that balance, no matter where you're at, it's a balancing act.
Yeah. I'm really glad you shared that. I think balance is always the key, and remembering that. So, well, is there anything else you feel like we need to process for this episode? Anything as we guide everyone listening into the next piece of episode 4, part 2?
I think my best piece of advice for you is if you start to feel sensations throughout this next episode or even the episodes following, pause it, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart or wherever you're feeling this like almost like stress response, right? It's very potential. And ask yourself, what is this bringing up for me? Because in that, whatever you're shown is probably a piece of your story that needs to be loved. And the deeper that you meet yourself increases the capacity and the depth in which you can meet others in your life. The more compassion you have for self, the more compassion you will have for others, right? In forgiving yourself, you can forgive others. And so pausing and leaning into that and asking, okay, I see this is triggering for me because it's bringing up a memory of something I haven't accepted, I haven't loved, I haven't forgiven, I haven't given myself the gift of compassion or somebody else. Try to do that as a practice.
Yeah, I agree. I want to just ditto that because that's beautiful, and I really don't want to add anything. I think that's the most important takeaway, really, and a healthy way to experience that which makes you uncomfortable, you know?
Yes,
and
soften into it.
Yeah. And that's a fun practice too. I mean, there are just so many things you can do to really ease into this and ease into loving yourself. You know, I listened to Esther Hicks Abraham, and one of my favorite things to remind myself is be easy about it. You know, be easy about it.
Yeah.
And I tell myself that, especially in times I'm really beating myself up or feeling uncomfortable. It's just like, okay, breathe, be easy about it. You know, so
that feels good.
Doesn't it feel good to just say that to yourself? Just be easy.
It's like
about
you can be angry and be like, fuck, I need to change this.
Yeah.
Right? We've all been there. I mean, let's be real. Oh, we gotta do this.
Oh. Yeah.
Like that energy, right?
Yeah.
Or you can be like, oh, as if it's a child that you're talking
Yeah.
to.
Your child self.
Yeah. Hey. Ouch. That hurts.
Yeah.
How can I love you?
Yeah, gosh, and that feels really good too. Wow,
Which one
I love
feels
that.
good? Yeah, exactly.
When you're
right?
like, you're like, oh, I love you. Yeah, it's okay. It's a really beautiful way to just like practice some self compassion and to just settle into things and you know these things can be experiences or feelings that you notice, you observe, you're easy about them. You are not them. They are not you. It's something you're noticing. It's you're noticing a feeling you're experiencing. Just remember to practice that type of language too as you're feeling these types of things that these things that make you uncomfortable are not who you are. And every single day you live, you are reborn. Every single second you're alive, you're reborn, So the you of the past is no longer even you anymore. So what are you going to do? You're going to run from it, or are you going to integrate, them into your life, whoever they are? And especially loving those former parts of yourself, because you didn't know. I mean, gosh, I've changed since we recorded this episode Tuesday. Well, I'm not the same person, So
Same. I look back 2 weeks, I'm like, who was that? Who is that?
Yes. It's a beautiful unfolding.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much, Dani, for popping on and being, again, really open and honest about how you're processing this week. And because I think this is important for people to know, too. It's not all just because you were very brave doesn't mean that there aren't some pieces of you that's like, I just shared.
Of course. Yeah.
So,
You guys, again, I'm human and I honor my seasons. And in honoring your seasons, you actually gain more momentum and more strength if you surrender to it. So, thank you. You helped me today in this conversation more than
amazing.
You know, truly.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to have been able to share some space with you. Mwah! Well, I think that's everything for today. What about you?
Yeah, I think we're good. Enjoy part 2 of our spiritual journey. And please share, like, follow, comment. We hope that this helps you as much as we intended to. And we love you.
We love you. Until next time.
Something came to me as you were speaking about like putting ourselves in dangerous situations to feel alive, or that rush, or to run from what we were really feeling, right? That adrenaline rush, that cortisol spike. And also, what is the best way to feel alive? Mm-hmm. To kiss death. Exactly. Adrenaline. And and there's been 2 instances, that one, and one previously when I was a kid, where I stepped on a stingray. And I almost died. Oh, my God. And I was thinking about this last night, about how I want to talk about this, and it's like, it's almost like those painful experiences, physically, emotionally, mentally. Once you get through it, you do feel more alive. You do. And we can speak on these things, and I'm sure it's a part of your mission, it's part of my mission, to speak and touch on these really uncomfortable, scary, taboo, occult topics in the position that we are in now. Exactly. Loving ourselves, cherishing ourselves, knowing where we're going and the trajectory that we have in this life because of what we have been through. Like segueing into the wounded healer. Right? If you guys don't know what that is, the wounded healer is the empath that has to go through all of these experiences, and this is just one of many, in order to relate to their clients, because they healed themselves with the help of others through it already. And now they have the tools, the energy, the bandwidth to help you in that. And I'll say it again. If you are here, you are meant to be here. There's no other way to look at it. if you're having these feelings, if you feel like you have symptoms of depression, anxiety, and you can't get away from them, you can heal naturally. There are ways. You are not alone.
Yeah.
Learn from our experiences. Learn from what we've been through so that you don't have to get to that point. So you can prevent that damage. That's why we share.
Yeah. And I'll say too, I tried a lot of things that the world told me to try to feel better, and they are temporary Band-Aids that usually made me feel hollow. And so again, I'll say everybody's journey is different. So maybe your journey includes some things that are more traditional. I will also say, please also incorporate into it some of these practices, these mental practices, these spiritual practices, because these are long-term results that stick if you do
them. They last.
And they feel better. They feel different. I mean, it literally is the best medicine you're going to find. And not only that, but it leads you to a joyful life experience. It leads to, again, like we talked about everything else, it bleeds into every single aspect of your life when you start loving yourself and taking care of yourself in these ways. And yes, it is on some levels like, going to the gym and, I'm not saying your goals for your gym, experience are yours, and so can your spiritual journey be. I'm not asking you to go out there and be a bodybuilder of spirituality. That's just what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, like, figure out what your goal is and just know that, like, moving in this direction will absolutely help, and you're going to find your own path that feels, like, unique and perfect for you, and it's going to look different than everybody else's, but you're still going to be in a community of people who see you. Like, oh my God, you want to talk about something that makes me cry? Every time I watch Avatar and they, like, touch their heart and to the other person, like, I see you, I'm like, oh, I just want someone to do that to me.
And that is the community that we are building, Mo. Like, we are going to be sisters in the same vicinity and, like, hugging and loving on each other and holding each other's hearts when we need it. Yeah. So it's possible.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. So yes, I love that, and I look forward to being in more relationships like that. And I look forward to everyone listening and watching. I look forward to that for you. You're gonna have it. It's coming. Yeah. And I'm so excited for every single moment of your unfolding into the life you want to have, because it is gorgeous and it is yours. And I will celebrate you, and I know Dani will too. So.
Oh yeah. And how can we look at the darkness, the scariness, the pain that you're experiencing through another lens? What I had to do after that happened was, it was either get help and bear this fresh wound to the people in my life, or, which you can do both. I say do both. Right? Yeah. Again, I was until like my early 20s, I was very rebellious when it came to getting help outside of myself, but I also believe that is my journey as a wounded healer. I learned how to heal it myself. It's not for everybody. Hindsight, would have loved community that had my perspective, because I found healers and therapies outside of the traditional norm. But I remember, like, I told my roommate, because she was there, and she was like, what do we do? And I was like, I need to face myself. I need to look at myself. I need to look at myself in the mirror. And I literally did. I looked at myself in the mirror. And I still do this to this day at times. I'm like, mostly it's positive these days. I mean, I don't really have moments where I'm like, what the fuck did you do? But that moment was what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to love you, but what are you doing? What are you accepting? Look at your days. You're drinking every night. You're sleeping in. You can't show up to work on time. You're not going to school. You are the reason for all of this. And that may hurt, because that, in a sense, creates that reality of like, I'm the reason I'm here. I've accepted these people in my life. I've accepted these habits. I've integrated these habits. I've chosen to live a very toxic lifestyle.
Yeah.
So look at that. Accept it. Look at this as a blessing. You're alive. That's a new rush of energy, right? What do you need to change moving forward? And getting back to like the spiritual awakening, right? That's when spirituality started to really show up in my life. Like I said, I started getting into yoga.
Yeah.
I started dedicating myself to the practice to the point where I fell so in love with it. I started having revelations every class, every day. Oh, this, oh, breathe deeper. Oh, my body's responding to the movement and the breath and the new levels of awareness accessed through the 8 limbs of yoga, through the 8 limbs of practice. And yoga's vinyasa is only one of those 8 limbs. Yoga is much more than just a physical practice. It's about samadhi, like meditation, karma, all of these things, the yamas and the niyamas, the do's and the don'ts, to live a balanced, healthy life. And a part of me was like, this is where we're going. We need to learn more. And so I started healing naturally through that after the incident. And my liver was very fucked up, as you can imagine, after something like that happens. And so healing through nutrition, and then getting out to Thailand to do my training for 3 weeks straight. I had never been more present. Now I experience presence on a daily basis, but the first time in my life, being so present with yourself. Living in this jungle, in a hut, in this highly spiritually active, like Buddhist Hindu culture of gratitude and elation and love, that's really when my journey began.
Yeah.
That is when I remember reading in one of the books, and we'd wake up at 6:30 in the morning and go meditate, and then we'd chant. We do a lot of chanting in Sanskrit, which is the ancient language of yoga. Sanskrit.
Yeah.
And I remember for the first time ever, do you hear that, like a little girl lighting up inside? She's like so excited. That like a new voice just came through right there. That was my 21-year-old self. I remember for the first time ever coming across the word enlightenment.
Yeah.
The road to enlightenment. And that was so pivotal for me, because in that journey, in that moment, I realized that's all I want in this life. This is the path that my soul has chosen, and this is the path that my mind now understands that I'm choosing, is the road, the path to enlightenment. To bring all of these unconscious things to light, to heal myself, to reach for higher consciousness, a higher perspective, a lighter perspective, a broader perspective that encompasses myself and everybody around me and everybody on this planet, every living thing, every breathing thing, every moving thing, the planet itself. To act for myself the way that I would act for others, because we are all interconnected, and one little thing that I do, it affects you, and vice versa.
Yeah, man, that is so beautiful. And I will say this much. It is literally a dream of mine to be in a room of people chanting. I love it.
Let's create it.
I was in a yoga session one time where we were all like we weren't like chanting, but like there was like some, and of course I've been in plenty of like improv workshops where we do things in unison, and I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And I just love your journey. Because I think for what I resonate with your journey, I obviously didn't have that same journey, but these practices, I immediately felt home in them. And that's what, everybody listening and watching, pay attention to how you feel, because it's so obvious what your body wants. And when you're in situations like you were in that were just, so mind altering and opening to your heart and, your consciousness.
Yeah.
It just feels right. Everything about it is like, this is what's for you. This is home. This is where you belong. And it's, and I use this word a lot, but it's undeniable, and you just know, what it's right for you. And I have felt like that multiple times throughout even my journey when I would, for me, it usually would start with my therapist or with meeting Anna or even Natalie Tischler. She was someone who really opened me up to the spiritual side of, my experience. And those people, so grateful for them, just like I'm sure you were those who were teaching you in your setting, but what you're called to from those experiences, that part of you that just like, it like lunges forward and it's like, yes. And so, I resonate to that feeling of calm and peace and home you had in those moments that really told you that this is what's right for you and this is where you're going. And it's funny. Just a real quick little,
go for it.
Back up to our early in our development of who we became, who we are today. Multiple times in our life, we both have felt called to this mission from a very early age. And so I know for a fact that maybe it wasn't as hard of a pull as some of these experiences I've had in this last 10 years of my life. It came in those small moments of making someone laugh or, I'm sure you were this way too, where people would come to you a lot for advice. People would come to you a lot for
100%.
Yeah. And the same with me. Or if a friend had something really big they needed to work through, I was always that friend that you come to and you have those types of things. And so, and then even
if we were completely frazzled and disheveled and fucked up, we found a way to drop in and just wisdom, love, add wisdom and value and love to that person's life.
Yeah, and usually to my detriment. In the past, when I was creating by default, it's like I am adding love to the world, but I am slowly losing all my energy.
Yes.
But yeah, so my whole life I felt called this. Even acting and comedy and studying people. Every moment of my life is really what you're talking about. How you felt. There are so many small moments that I would like to bring up for everybody that, maybe you're not in Thailand right now and you're having this moment where you are knowing, but because you've had so many knowings in your life. And who knows, maybe Thailand's in your future. Maybe Thailand's in my future.
Or some sort of retreat or some sort of leader or guide. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am so glad that you did, because I will say from my experience, you have helped me learn. I didn't know as much about breathing. I mean, obviously I did because of, I started, meditating. I guess it's been a few years. Everything always feels like a year ago for some reason, but it's been a few years ago I started, meditating and, I've done breath work plenty, but you really opened me up. We did an exercise one time together. And by the way, everybody, Dani can do these things with you, and all of our information for Dani to work with Dani is, everywhere that you're watching this or listening. You walked me through some breath exercises that made me feel euphoric. And that's something that, it's 5:55 when I just said that. That made me literally feel euphoric and so good and so healed and so, Anyway, I'm so grateful you went through all of that training because I've benefited from it tremendously. And a selfish little plug there.
And the training only continues. I mean, that is the first training that I did, right?
Yeah.
And thank you for that acknowledgement. And I'll just say this, the best way to reach out is to connect with me authentically. Message me on Instagram. Message me on Instagram. Shoot me an email. Tell me your story. I want to hear about you. I really do. And I want to show you that there's a way to get to where you want to go. Whatever that is. Healing, abundance, love, wealth, health, etc. And thank you for that acknowledgement. Seriously, there's a couple things I want to say. Number one, fun fact. And I've talked about how psychedelics and plant medicine are a huge part of my journey, and also how I have many psychedelic experiences without any psychedelic. And one of those ways to create those new neural pathways in your brain, those new synapses, those new connections in your brain that help you to let go of these limiting heavy beliefs or energies or emotions, is through breathwork and meditation. Fun fact, you can have a psychedelic experience through breathwork. There are certain, and we've had it together.
Yeah.
There are certain breathing techniques that you can do that actually activate the release of DMT in the brain, because we have DMT in our brains. It's activated when we're born and when we die. It's this connection that opens, it's this chemical that opens connection to source, to the other side. So maybe I just have a lot of DMT in my brain. I'm starting to really think about how many things have happened that are psychedelic that I don't take psychedelics for. I'm maybe I just have a lot of DMT in my brain from those experiences.
Yeah, that's
right. That's possible.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. But you can release that in your brain, and you can release all of the good chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin is like a chemical that a feel-good chemical, or a feel-good, what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, a feel-good chemical. We're going to delete that part. Okay. Oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, these are all feel-good hormones. And you can release them through breath work as well. So in return, you're elevating your mood. Similar to exercise, right? Endorphins. So that's something really important to know about those practices, and how essential they are, and how they also help to relax your nervous system, which is, we're going to have a whole conversation about the nervous system and how we've healed ours, because that's also a pivotal moment on my journey. But I want to talk my last little piece on that Thailand trip. I was there for a couple of months, and I was on this island called Koh Phangan. And a lot of people are familiar with the full moon party that's on that island, but I was a couple days over, and I never went to that party because I clearly had different intentions for that trip. I had 3 teachers, and they had all done trainings in India, and one of them came straight from India, straight from one of the cities in India. And my teacher, Vari, he was one of the male teachers, love him to death. But he is that shaman energy. He's like, I'm going to tell you how it is. Yeah. And he would always say, well, Dani, happiness is a choice. And I said, you know what I mean? I was so triggered. He kept saying it every day. Happiness is a choice. Choose happiness. Happiness is a choice. Choose happiness. Happiness is a choice. Choose happiness. And I said, no, it's not a choice, or I would be happy. Don't you think, Vari? I was so combative. But by the end of week 3, into week 2, by the end of week 3, I was in this place of presence and peace, realizing that happiness is a choice. That's going to be really triggering for a lot of people to hear. Yeah. But the choice comes in, what are you looking at? What you're lacking or what you have? Yeah. Are you looking at your your negative circumstances and all the traumas, but you're forgetting the 70% of the rest of your life that has been good? Are you looking at all the bad in the world because that's exactly what we're programmed with? Or are you focusing on the fact that new babies are born every day and there's a puppy right across the street and you have money in your bank account and food in your fridge and oxygen in your lungs? That's the choice. Where are you focusing on? And we all have and have experienced a negativity bias in our lives. A part of that's how we're hardwired in order to survive in the wild. That's understandable. Oh, got to be aware of my surroundings. What's bad? How do I fix it? Right?
Yeah.
But I also say that's bullshit, because you get to choose where you are focusing. You get to choose in every moment the perspective that you have around the circumstances and the hands that you were dealt.
Yeah.
Happiness is a choice.
Yeah, that was a real mic drop.
Mic drop.
And I will say too, if you continue to live in a space of reactivity and almost like in an animalistic like survival mode, you won't be able to reach levels of peace and love ever. You really do choose to hold yourself back when you don't change. So for example, changing the environment you're in, changing the people that you're around, if it doesn't resonate with your heart, if it doesn't elevate you to where you want to be. I'm not saying you're better than anyone else. Just don't be around people that don't feel right to you or that make you feel like you think they're the problem. I mean, that's obviously also a problem there. Then don't hang out with them. You know what I mean? Don't make them feel like they're bad either, let them have their journey, whatever that is. But you won't reach enlightenment if you continue to look at the negative and live in that space. So I appreciate that you say that, because it is absolutely necessary to come to grips with that information that for a lot of people is triggering, because I do know there are a lot of people who want to argue about that and say, well, you don't know my experience, well, you don't know what I've been through, well, your life was, I'm sure, 1,000 times easier than mine, and then it becomes a measuring contest. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I love my story, because I'm like, wanna bet?
Exactly. Well, and what's interesting, I really feel like most people, and I've told Dave this before, I think most people would assume that my life was all sunshine and rainbows and very easy, and that I always have, because I did always have nice clothes, because I did have a nice car. It's like, oh, well,
monetary privilege is one aspect.
And I will realize that, yes, I have had a lot of privileges, and also like what you said, I have had a lot of beautiful moments in my life as well, and beautiful relationships, and even those that the ones who helped me develop my trigger buttons, very grateful for every single person that I, is still in my life and that I love today, and my family as well. But I will say, you cannot reach that enlightenment without those realizations, and it is absolutely a requirement for moving into the space that is right for you. And the feeling that you have when it is that icky, bad, that tightness in your chest of you not moving in that direction, those are always signals from your body that that's not right for you. And that's the language of your body saying, hey, let's do something else. This isn't it.
Right.
So yeah, just a little additional add-on. So hey, how do you feel about coming up with a challenge around this topic? Or do you feel like we need to talk about this more? Do we need a part 2? Do you want to talk some more?
I think we need a part 2.
Because
we're just scraping the surface.
We really are.
And there's so many tools and modalities and things that we have learned and used and apply on and with our clients, on ourselves and with our clients in this spiritual journey, as we connect more deeply with our souls and connecting with other realms and other spirits and the gifts. There's so much to talk about, but I feel like today was really like laying the groundwork of the wounded healer, of the shadow walker, the person that walks in the shadows of their unconscious or has walked in the shadows of the world in order to bring light and to heal. And I think, a lot of what we talked on today was pretty heavy, but I also think it's necessary. And again, it's just the beginning. So buckle up.
Buckle up.
This is part one of probably many as we continue to discuss what it means and the different components of it, of spirituality, of the spiritual path.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing, and also for helping create an environment where I felt so comfortable. I mean, honestly, before we came on, I was feeling a little like a little nervous about because I also I was nervous that I would really have a hard time holding it together, but I think it's beautiful to get to share and express this, because I also am realizing how much I have healed.
Yeah.
Beyond what I thought I had, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm going to be having a hard time with this. And it's like, I really feel, I feel really good about it. I thank everyone who came along with us and helped to share this space with us, because it is really cool to get to talk about it. I really feel really super honored by you and just by this, the space that we have. So yeah,
we are safe here,
Yeah.
That's why we do what we do, because we didn't feel safe for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, people listening, Mo listening, you can hear it when you go back to that part, there was an incredible level of resistance within myself.
Yeah.
Like in my chest, it was like, are you sure? You sure you want to share this? And then I heard, own that shit.
Yeah.
Own it. This is a part of who you are. A beautiful part of who you are and of your story. And same with you, Mo. And it's time to own it all.
Yeah. And we've only scratched the surface, just like you said.
We've only scratched the surface. It hasn't been easy. And we are pushing past our limits of what we perceived was possible and what we perceived we were going to be accomplishing with this podcast. So, here for it all. And glad that you felt safe.
Yeah. Same. Thank you.
Yeah. So, challenge for this week.
Yeah.
I've got two.
Okay.
Do you have one in your mind?
I want to hear yours, because maybe we just go with yours.
Okay.
Because I have one, and I have a feeling they're going to be pretty close to, I feel like they're going to be on theme.
Yes. Number one, if you haven't started practicing yoga, practice yoga.
Yeah.
Go to a yoga class 3 times in the next 7 days. And jot down the noticeable differences that you have. Number one, nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares about what you're doing. Nobody's looking that you're a beginner. You can find beginner classes. You can even just do it online. But I recommend the presence of community, like that energy, that really open energy that a yoga community traditionally has. Go to yoga. It will change your life.
Yeah.
You will see differences in the first couple of classes. And it's not just about the physical. I'm talking about mental, energetic differences. Okay? There's this euphoric feeling that you get at the end of class. Go. That's your challenge. Number 2, I want you to journal about how you feel when somebody says happiness is a choice.
Ooh, I agree. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Ooh, let me throw in something. And I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it because it's really huge. And if you've heard me say it before and you haven't done it yet, you need to do it the most. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. Put your hand on your heart and say, I love you. And then say it and say it and say it and keep saying it. Or just say it once if you feel like that's enough. But then do it the next day. But I will say, I have a beautiful friend named Dustin Morby who, he's also a healer, and I've worked with him as well at DustinMorby.com if you want to check him out. And, he asked me if I've ever done that. And I was like, once I was like, I don't know that I have, and I was like, okay. And, the first time I did it, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. It was, first of all, it felt cringy and weird. And I was like, I'm not going to say that. What the hell? And I was kind of pissed about it. I was like, this is stupid. How stupid. I was just, doing all the resistance.
So dumb.
Classic resistance. And then I did it and I was overwhelmed. And then I continued to do it. And I actually started, and then Anna Barnhill, my coach, she recommended that I start doing some self-compassion practices. And anyway, now I'm getting off in the story. Long story short, I'll tell you about that another time. For you this week, look in the mirror and say, I love you. Especially after you've journaled about how, happiness is a choice may trigger you. And just free flow
So
with
with
it.
loving yourself.
Cause it can feel a little cringy. You're not supposed to say those things. You know what, Dani? I love myself.
I love
you
myself
both.
too. I love me, Dani. Dani, I love you so much. You are so beautiful.
You are so beautiful.
I'm so proud of you.
You are a fucking goddess.
You are too.
Oh my God, I know. Thank you.
Yes, and it gets easier and easier, and then you start to really see it, and then you're like, damn, this loving yourself changes the way that you look.
Yeah.
It changes the way that you see yourself.
And carry yourself. I mean, you no longer are you going to worry if you look hot to other people. You're like, I can love myself. I don't need you. I mean, obviously you still may have moments that creep in every once in a while. Sometimes that happens, and that's okay.
Right.
But deep down, you love yourself, and you got it.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful.
Those are great challenges, Dani. I love it.
Mm-hmm. You got 3.
You got
fuck
3.
It up.
Yeah. Hey, and if you don't get them all done this week, it's okay. Just program it out. You can at least do the I love you thing this week, right?
Yes.
Plan it out. If you need to look up a yoga class and find it, do that. But try to go. Just try to find a way to go this week.
Be open and receptive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dani, I just love you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation.
You too. Thanks for starting it. You literally started it.
I know. I'm
you guided us.
Real good about it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you actually really. I mean, I feel like you opened it up and helped me feel like you were sort of if I
knew what was there.
A boat, you were like a little boat guide ramp that was getting. I don't know what these things are called. I always try to do these things, and they never.
No, I know. One of my gifts is claircognizance, and that's the ability to just know. And I now know that the people in my life are mirrors, and I know that we resonate at a similar frequency because we've had similar life experiences, and we have similar perspectives and healing from those. And so, a part of my higher self knew that was there for you too. And it's about trusting that higher self to guide those questions to help you feel safe in order for those authentic, truthful answers and stories to come out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, we love you guys. Yeah, thank you for listening to us. There were a lot of tangents, a lot of stories today. We went in many different directions as we do. And people will vibe with that or they won't, but I vibe with it. So
I do too.
That's all that matters. We are so grateful for you. We cannot say it enough. Please, 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 to help us to support this podcast, to support our brand and our mission, please subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We're about to drop the social medias for this podcast. Things are moving really quickly, and our outreach is growing exponentially. And we would really, really appreciate if you could subscribe, share this podcast far and wide. Thank you so much for your time and for your energy.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. All right, I think that wraps us up. Wow. We'll see you next time.